Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning. Oh dear. This doesn't sound right. Does it sound right to you guys? Well, it sounds like I need to work with my headphones here. But you know, first of all, let's start music. Yeah, let's fix that. Man, this sucks. Coming in here this week, man. The arm thing is just like really demotivating. And now my headphones being jacked up just like kills my motivation. I hear it in the left ear really, really well, and I'm not hearing anything in the right ear. Well, I could just buy new headphones. Could try those wireless ones. All right, well, let's go into the charts, shall we? Okay, so here's a 10-year treasury. Had a little bit of a rise after the Jackson Hole thing. And it does look like so far we've maintained those gains. I'm a little bit skeptical here. I mean, this is actually like a wider range. So I think that there's a good chance that they come back and test the other side of this. Thing is I don't really see a whole lot of catalysts or anything to really push and continue to hold us up here. Until we get to, you know, next week. So here's the S&P 500. They kind of doing a similar thing. Really interesting rising pattern here. Kind of looks like there's somebody like robot buying it up here, and then there's been some like squiggles back and forth, but that robot continues to buy or something. It's not the first time I've seen that pattern, but it's been a long time. Oil jumping up here. There's been some tensions between Israel and Hezbollah. Seems to be the driver over there. Gold and silver also doing pretty okay. Silver above $30 per $30 an ounce. I don't remember what the silver is based on, but I saw a report over the weekend where they were saying that they had a new form of solid state battery, but that it required a lot of silver, and basically making the case that demand for silver in the future is going to go way up. So there's that. Copper you know, it's on the up, but like only barely. So copper's not following the precious metals as closely as it normally does. And then we got the Japanese yen. The Japanese yen a little bit higher this morning, and the dollar dropping below 101 here into the 100.5 area. And Bitcoin also taking a pretty decent gap over the weekend. What was these headphones I was looking at before that I bought? Yeah, these. Milliseconds. Takes the sound about 5 milliseconds to travel 6 feet. 16 milliseconds is not nothing, but it's pretty good. 250 milliseconds to get with Bluetooth is too much, for sure. Let's take a look at these again and see maybe the kids did something. Oh, I didn't realize. Did we ever have in these? Oh, you know why? Because Financial Juice didn't launch up here. The U.S. durable goods 9.9% versus 5% expected, and core durable goods negative spot 2% versus 0.1% expected. That's kind of weird. So the headline and the core numbers are wildly different. The market did react, but it seems unsure what to do about it. Oh, by the way, Octavius, Namorous, and Uzi. Right? I seem to recall this being like not the first time that I had problems with these headphones. My back is all locked up today. Kind of feel like, so like we're coming into Labor Day. Labor Day is a pretty critical period. Like we've been in a transition period. This is the last week going in that period, and having a bad day going into that really makes me nervous. Dude, this is an angry market, huh? Because he says, ouch. He probably had plenty of time to scratch that if he's, if he's not still there. Because he did get a decent amount of favorable excursion on it. Like, is it because we're so close to rollover? You might have a point. Except for that rollover tends to just dampen things overall. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to describe it. I usually have problems trading going into rollover, but not because, it whips and goes 4 ticks in my favor and then goes back 4 ticks against me. Not like that. Kind of more like it just doesn't ever want to go my way. And it doesn't do what it's supposed to, Okay, so that is a good point, Uzi, that we had a lot of positive delta earlier in the session. So he's talking about this right here. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm having such a hard time here. This is like the ADHD in me, man. Like I'm seeing it. I just can't. It's so hard for me to look past. Hold on, I think I have another cable here. Like, we can test and see if it's just the cable or if it's the headphones. Not that these are the best headphones. Like, I replaced the ear cups in these. The headband is terrible. I'm looking at these headphones that are like wireless, but I'm a little skeptical of the sound profile on them. I really like the sound profile on these. Well, anyways, I couldn't find it. I don't need the headphones. I don't know. Well, I do need the headphones to hear News Squawk. Okay, theory. The news, which is to say the core durable goods, pushed the market down a good bit. But there is some sort of risk headline out there related to Israel pushing the treasuries up. Ergo, the strong push in the other direction. Because they didn't just come back across. They're up at 24 and reloading. Amara says big missile attack on Ukraine. I think this has the hallmarks of competing headlines. Let's see, MSRP on these really 560. There's no way people are asking 560 for these. Yeah, Sweetwater's got them for 350. He has been chilling there for at 24.5 for a while. I tell you what, I feel like that there's kind of a little bit of a gambler's fallacy involved here on my part. Like, seeing that happen doesn't necessarily tell me anything about what's going to happen later today or later this week. But I am, like, very much on edge. This is like, everything is going wrong. This is just not a good week for me. I didn't even take a trade there. Like, you know, it's just... You know, I have another pair of headphones. Hold on. Well, that's better. I get both sides, but that sounds awfully flat. Awfully flat. Plus, I look ridiculous. I look absolutely ridiculous. Oh, man. Amir, good morning. How are you? You know what? The sound in these headphones, at least the music, doesn't sound too bad. But I hate the way that my voice sounds in these headphones. It sounds really tinny. Doesn't sound good. Well, they did push higher. While I've been not paying attention, they pushed higher. Not necessarily on very effective belt to change, though. So the market looks a little slippery to me, for one thing. The trend is up. Japanese yen pushed up there really hard as well. Japanese yen kind of still has me thinking that it could be a risk headline. Granted, the dollar usually goes up. The dollar is usually a flight to safety. But in the current environment, the Japanese yen has been down so hard. And the yen tends to be a flight to safety asset with the treasuries. You might see more of it go to the yen than the dollar than usual. Mhm. Let's recenter things right there. I don't think we're going to get the pullback to 23.5. What is going on with oil here, man? Look at this. Huge rise here. Cumulative delta is now completely retraced that up move. So I guess they've taken profits, but it has not affected price whatsoever. It just keeps falling. it's still going, man. Oops, I'm sorry, I had us over here. This has been a wild uptrend, guys. There's got to be a headline that I'm not hearing here. Well, it's not happening over... I haven't heard anything over the news squawk. You see 15 minutes ago, Canada to impose 100% tariff on China electric vehicles. CC warns that the continuation of the current escalation puts the region hostage to the possibility of the war expanding regionally, says the Egyptian presidency. It's gotta be because of Israel, but I don't know if that is what it is. And this wouldn't be the first time that we've seen kind of like a freak rise in the treasuries based on not a whole lot on the geopolitical front that does in the end just kind of fizzle out. And so I think that I would have to be a little bit skeptical about how far this trend can really actually go. The thing, though, is that it's risen without much of a change in the delta, at least in the 5 and the 10 year. In the 30 year, it's like a huge shift in cumulative delta. Almost 6,000 contracts, which is pretty big for the 30 year. And surprisingly enough, I'm not actually seeing any change in the yield curve either. It just looks like people piling into the 30 year and the 10 and the 5 following it step for step. I'm reading about these headphones. One of the things they say is, oh, this headphone isn't very comfortable and can catch on your hair. Well, I don't think I'll have that problem. Okay, it is turned a little bit. Hmm. There was a little bit of there's a little bit of delta on this second push here. Anything above 114 though starts to get a little precarious. Iranian chief of staff, Iran decides how and when to take revenge. She will not fall into the trap of media sensationalism launched by enemies. Well, okay, that's really interesting, actually. That's fascinating. So, the Iran government has had kind of a change in leadership recently. And the new Iranian president has been kind of like, let's not do anything stupid and try and play nice now. And it sounds like that the mullahs have been like, okay, you do your thing and we'll see how it turns out, etc., etc. And so Iran has kind of been trying to tone things down, right? It feels like every day for the last weeks has been Iran. No, I don't think so. No, I do not think that Iran is going to attack Israel, at least not a serious attack anytime soon. I mean, that's been the whole thing. And that's kind of what's going on right now, is that there is increasing tensions between Hezbollah and Israel, right? So it's not that Iran, right? The risk headline, I suppose, is that it appears like Israel may be ready to just full on invade Lebanon, right? Like that's what's going. Yes, and yeah. So Hezbollah is like chomping at the bit, and meanwhile Iran is like, like let's just chill out, guys. And Hezbollah's not having it, right? So it's kind of funny to see Iran here at this point trying to talk down Hezbollah. That's how I read it. Granted, that is based on like a very broad reading of what's going on here, right? So I may be dead wrong. This is kind of my intuition of what's going on based on the information that I've read. But there was the firing back and forth last night, right? The Hezbollah threw a bunch of drones and other things at Israel. Israel says that they got rid of them. Israel was already calling up the reservists and, offers stacking. At the moment, it looks like the driving force in the 30-year has kind of sputtered out here, and maybe found, you know, some supply. Like, you're trading pretty big trades up here, and it's not continuing to push up. Your Discord notification somehow seems louder now. Oh, that is really weird. I'm chatting with Ali about how to do remote editing. We set up a project and tried it yesterday, and it tried syncing like 20 gigabytes files, even when I told it only be proxies. So I think I need to change some settings and stuff like that. So it should be like super tiny videos. To that point, I am kind of wondering here, shouldn't those be not going to you guys? You didn't used to hear them? Maybe I got something messed up here. Because that should be the only thing coming through the VAIO. Oh. Well, that's wrong. I think that's wrong. It should be that. That should be the output device. You keep thinking that it's yours. Yeah. And then Brave should be the VIO one. Yeah. Discord should be default. That means, though, that now the music is gone. Yeah. Oh, because the music is... Oh, wait. Now I have myself all confused. So that should be getting it to everywhere. I'm wondering if I should have it as like... How should I do this? I basically got two options here, right? One option could be the default goes out to you guys, and then specified streams only go to me. Versus, by default, things only go to me and only specified streams go out to you guys. And I'm kind of... Now, with that, any kind of, oh, well, if I do it that way, then you won't hear, like, all of the clicky sounds and all that. So I think what I should do instead is I should just say... Now, why are there two Discords, by the way? I'm just going to do it like that. Now you shouldn't hear them anymore. Now, you probably heard that, right? Oh, really, guys? Okay. Okie dokie. Okay, well, they've come all the way back to 26.5 now. Oil is still up, by the way. Oil's up despite the delta overall on it being huge. Do you think if I come back here and I look at oil on this higher time frame, do you think that the cumulative delta turning south in oil is really just because they're up so high and the market doesn't think that they can support above like 77? That's a really big divergence. Take a little bit out of the middle there. Okay, well, we are coming back to the buyer's cost basis. So let's just note that part. Is that this is basically turning into a wash for the buyers. Like, of course, there's going to be some people that started buying it earlier and made money. But, like, on a net basis, the average price that they got on this move up is kind of washed back to this 25 half, 24 half area. So that kind of puts us like in a neutral spot again, right? Is the way that I'm thinking of it. Okay. Seeing the Japanese yen come back down with it as well. I am kind of curious to see maybe if they come all the way back to the open. It's possible. Your portfolio is very happy today. That's interesting, because you're probably up stocks and bonds today, huh? Yeah. So I wonder, what do you think? So there's been a lot of noise over the last week or so because the Federal Reserve is going to cut interest rates. And they're basically, a lot of influencers and so forth are saying, well, the majority of market losses happen after the Federal Reserve cuts interest rates. Now, personally, I think this is probably a different situation. Like, this is, we raised interest rates, we defeated inflation, we are bringing interest rates back to neutral because we've defeated inflation, and not necessarily because we're about to go into a recession. We could go into a recession if we don't cut interest rates, but supposedly, we cut interest rates now and everything should be hunky-dory and we don't have to do that, right? And how far do we need to cut interest rates? Well, I think that interest rates might be able to go lower than you might initially think. At least, like, what the market is kind of suggesting could happen, I think is pretty in line, and is further than, like, what an average person would think. Like, 50 basis points now, but probably they continue to bring them down even further. But again, some people are saying, well, you're reducing interest rates, we're about to go into a recession, and that's when the biggest losses happen. So, like, if that is the case, then the stocks are about to get just absolutely creamed, right? And how do you position yourself for the next market that we have, because we are really very much in a transition period, right? Like, I think that we see end of month flows this week. We get the next set of data next week. Of course, there is Labor Day, and then we're into the whole like next period. And we'll get the next set of data right at the beginning of the next market order, like going into the end of the year, essentially. So how does one like, if I'm gonna buy a stock, what's the best stock to buy? Part of me says, well, tech companies should probably benefit from rates coming down, but maybe not as much as they did before. Small caps makes sense, but that maybe is already played out. I don't know. Because I kind of feel like that the positioning has kind of been like, that worked pretty good. But now what? Oh my. Oh my. They really came back there, didn't they? You know what, Uzi? It does kind of seem to me that the treasuries turned around the time that you made that. You posted that thing from First Squawk with the Iranian chief of staff saying, like, chill out. What time was that exactly? Yeah, Iranian chief of staff, Iran decides revenge, resist, blah, 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 blah. That was 27 minutes ago, or specifically 7:15 my time, which was right here. Yeah, dude. Literally right there. Right there. There was one further little gasp up, and then that was the end of it. So did Iran cause this to completely retrace? That was not what I was looking for. That kind of seems to me like a misinformed trader opportunity on our part, where we knew the piece of information and we just kind of went like, oh, okay, and didn't think, well, maybe this completely cancels out the whole risk on scenario that's been causing the treasuries to go up, and they'll completely retrace it. That's kind of what I'm thinking happened at this point. I figured I destroyed the treasuries for speaking that I was up on the treasuries today. 6 days in a critical zone. Yeah, well, so now they're coming back to like test the lows in the Japanese yen. But presumably we should chill in this area. We could be in a scenario though where the liquidity was still disrupted below us, and so this move down ends up going further than the move up did. That's a possibility. I don't know if I could really trade on that, because it's still kind of like, okay, like at this point, if I was trading off of that, maybe that means that we could see the lows. But once you get into the lows, there's probably going to be a lot more liquidity down there. So okay, well, I think I got the headphone thing sorted out. So I'm going to go with the wireless ones. Makes me a little bit nervous, but they look good. Everything I'm reading here seems good. Watch this video later. I am seeing a little bit of a liquidity hole forming at 22.5. I'm not seeing the low latent liquidity, but I am seeing a lot of volume trade there. And it is getting stuck. You're like a kid from Stranger Things, says Octavius the Uzi. Oh, man. Is he saying that to me? Wait, why would I be like a kid from Stranger Things? I don't watch that show enough to know. I've seen bits and pieces of it because my family watches it. My wife and kids watch it, but I didn't watch it. Oh, the double headphones? Really? Well, I'm not a fan of the look for sure. But I just can't stand only hearing in one ear. I don't know. These Pioneers. So you can see what with do you see how like the top is fallen off? Ugh. So like they sounded pretty, they had a unique sound. They've got like a port. They've got this port here. So like you get really good bass, especially you're going on the lows. You get really good detailed bass. Some people say that to them it sounds too muddy. And at first maybe it does, but that's maybe because you're just not getting enough bass overall. But I liked the way that it sounded. I just hated that the materials that the ear cups and the headpad were made out of were just trash. And, you know, I replaced the ear pads and was just letting the headband thing go. I think that one of my kids took the headphones and maybe put them on or did something and unseated a wire, and that's why the sound's not getting over to the right ear now. But if I have wireless headphones, I can put them up over there where the kids can't get to them. Or won't get to them, rather. Plus, I don't have to worry about the whole thing of, like, taking them off and, like, walking off and like, pulling them along and all that sort of stuff. And then making sure that all of my notifications are clear. I think we're good. I'm just going to do the clear all. Audio-Technica and Bayer have... Well, so that was the other one that I had on the list here was... Audio-Technica M50X. Oh, they look okay. And I'm being somewhat familiar with that kind of swivel cup. I just kind of know that those kind of drive me crazy. But the Pioneer ones weren't much better on that. What I ended up getting was these AI. I don't know how you're even supposed to say that. But these are like modular headphones. You can actually like pick and choose headband, ear cups, drivers, etc. And this one has a special little wireless thing. So show you the picture of it. Maybe it's all the way down here. This thing right here, the transmitter that will transmit at about 16. What did it say? "16 milliseconds." So I should be able to plug that into my sound card or whatever we want to call it, into my Scarlett, and have wireless headphones. And people are saying that the quality on them is decent. In fact, there are people that DJ with them. So I think the buyers just got the memo. Well, I do think there could be something to, because we're getting close to the rollover, it seems like the market makers are really, really wary about taking inventory on, and this is just a lot more slippery than it seems normally is. Like, seeing a move like that on 10K cumulative delta, that's a pretty big move for 10K cumulative delta. Anyways, these ones don't really have the swivel cups so much. So you can kind of see that's straight. So the ear cups, they look good. I think it should be an upgrade for me overall, but I'm a little bit nervous about it. I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know if that's really going to give me the best. But then I'm thinking about it and I'm like, okay, as long as it's closed back so that the sound that's in my earphone isn't leaking out into the microphone, which yeah, especially with dynamic microphone, I don't think should be a problem. If I had open back headphones, maybe that would be a problem. So they just need to be closed back headphones and they're wireless. That probably is the best solution for me. And when I'm really concerned about the audio spectrum, the response, I should just be using my monitors anyways. So that was kind of my thinking. So worth $350? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. What are the speakers in it? Okay, so this is where it gets kind of weird. Is that they have the speaker unit contains a biocellulose diaphragm made from bacterial cellulose, an organic compound grown using certain types of bacteria. The precision-grown diaphragm from biocellulose is stiffer, lighter, and stronger than regular PET speaker units, allowing the sound-producing diaphragm to vibrate without the levels of distortion found in other speakers. Each of these qualities results in more accurate and detailed sound from the speaker with the ability to retain clarity of sound at high volumes. Yeah, I do music production. No, I haven't done so much lately. Maybe I should. I was kind of so in case you haven't been with us, I had a surgery on Thursday. So I have a Winter Soldier arm until next Wednesday. There's my Winter Soldier arm. So not this Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that is my follow-up appointment, and they're going to take that off, and then I should be fine after that. In fact, it doesn't hurt anymore. I hardly feel anything. I think that it's probably the stitch is already kind of sealed up. I would maybe be able to take it off right now, to be honest with you. I don't think wireless headphones have the power and dynamics. Well, so if you're getting the power through the cable, that's not a huge deal. Granted, now that would be a different thing if you're talking about these audiophile headphones that need a driver to drive them, right? Then that would be a different thing. They do a whole lot of explaining and a whole bunch of other stuff. Actually, they do. So if you come in here, where is it? Customize your own. So then you can kind of see some more information about them. They're 40 millimeter drivers. After you've like combined everything together, because you can pick different cups and all of that sort of stuff, then it will show you what some of like this frequency response will change, I believe. But those are probably the details that you want, right? Yeah. Because I guess the point is that these guys are saying, hey, oh, look right here. Okay. Which, okay, so the headbands, these headbands all look the same, but like they're made out of different materials, right? PU foam, high-grade nylon, PU leather, microfiber. And then this is the one that's got the ultra-low latency stuff on it. Here's the material. You can get PU leather, Alcantara, Reprieve. And then they've got different diaphragms where they have kind of like tuned the stiffness of them, I guess, to have different balances. So yeah, I think that these guys were kind of like, their whole thing was like, well, you just are kind of stuck with what you get with headphones, and you might like the design but not the driver and so forth. So like, why not be able to switch those things around? And my bet is they're probably printing their own parts as well, as probably a part of it too, right? So there's a lot of cool things about it. But the real driver here, or the real, like, what is the word? The value proposition here is that it comes with the ultra low latency wireless plus transmitter thing. So you can still use the wire, but supposedly this should allow me to plug it into my my audio interface here, hear myself without too much of an increased delay, but be wireless, and that would be valuable to me. So that's why I was thinking. Otherwise, I probably would have just gotten like the ATH M50s maybe, or a more serious set of DJ headphones. I didn't really want to spend $350 this month on headphones, but we have the money. We need to fix it. I don't want to wear these for the next year or two. You know, that would be dumb. Well, they sure are pushing on the other side here, man. I think that they've kind of come back to a spot where it, you know, they should start to get a lot of liquidity. So again, I'm a little bit skeptical about how much more trend they can get through there, but this has been a wild move. Definitely unexpected from me. I really wonder, like, there's got to be other headlines and stuff that's coming out for like that much volume to be coming out here, you know? Because what happened this morning that would trigger a move like that. I'm just not seeing it. Brent prices jump after oil-rich Libya declares force majeure across all oil production. The East-based government warned about attacks against employees at the CBL and attempts by outlaw groups to enter the CBL headquarters by force. This election is a referendum on free speech? Maybe it should be a referendum on free speech, but I don't think that the voters are going to view it that way. I don't think there's very many voters sitting there saying, So we haven't talked about this at all, but over the weekend, the CEO of Telegram, a application very similar to Discord, but with fully encrypted communications so that they can't see your, the company can't see your communications as far as I understand it. But, and some of this is a little bit rumor, but I'm seeing this rumor from reputable enough sources that I think it's a rumor worth considering and thinking about. These guys are saying that, a lot of Russian forces have been using Telegram, and a lot of Hezbollah and, these guys attacking Israel have been using Telegram to get information out, essentially. And so that is why France has decided to arrest the CEO of Telegram. So it's kind of connected to Israel. I think that's an important thing to note. There was some guys out there saying, "You're next, Elon." It kind of seems to me like that most of the platforms like Facebook and so forth said, okay, we'll do whatever you want us to do. And Twitter is telling them to go kick rocks. And it wouldn't surprise me at all to see the European Union, to see those European countries go after Elon Musk. So, yeah. That's a big free speech issue. And I think this is a huge escalation on it as well. I kind of think that it's one that most people will ignore because, hey, it's Elon Musk. Well, not Elon Musk. It's Telegram. It's a service that not very many people are using, etc. Right? It's always the same thing. It's it doesn't concern me, and they just kind of ignore it. This to me is an escalation that is very big deal. I wish there was something to do, because if there was something that should be done at this point, now would be the time to be okay, now it's time for drastic measures to fight against this, yada, yada, yada. But I don't think anybody's going to do anything. But the right wing on the internet is very, very, very upset about this. When you look at the Donald on Saturday, Sunday, that was all they were talking about. So it is going to be a driving factor for a lot of the right, that they believe free speech is under attack, and that Kamala Harris would certainly not champion free speech. In fact, her vice president candidate was pretty much straight up saying there's not free speech if it's disinformation. The government thinks it's disinformation, then it's not free speech. So, there is kind of that setup, but I just don't see regular people talking about it in those terms. But we'll see. Maybe Donald Trump starts talking about it. Maybe it becomes a bigger deal and it does become a referendum on free speech. That would probably be to Trump's advantage. Octavius, you got me a little bit nervous that you're looking all the way at 17 already, because that says to me that it's based on some sort of a level that I in this kind of a situation, don't feel very confident about would actually be holding, I'm actually kind of skeptical that we'll even get down to 17. Like, I think we may have already seen the lows here and that we're going to bounce back up to 22. And then it will just kind of like meander around the rest of the day. SOFR based Air S&P 500 total return futures are live. I was not aware of that. So is that a instrument that basically simplifies somebody in Europe getting exposure to the S&P 500? That's kind of a weird. Complicated name. How about the RFK thing? Oh, yeah. I mean, to me, it's not a huge deal, but it seems to be creating more of a stir than certainly I would have predicted. I think the thing that we maybe underestimate in politics, like those of us, the political analysts, is like the enthusiasm and the hype, the effect that can have on things in the net. And it really seems to me like the RFK endorsement energized the Trump supporters somewhat. And it does open up an argument to basically say, like, guys, look, the Democrat Party has gone crazy. And this is honestly what I believe. The Democrat Party has gone crazy, and we absolutely have to turn them down this time and tell them, no, we're not going to go along with that. If you put Kamala Harris in there now, that basically gives the Democrat Party free license to push any kind of corruption and despotism and, infringing of your liberties that they can possibly come up with. That's basically what you're saying to them. You're saying as long as you make the person that you're running against scary enough, we're willing to give anything up. That's what I think you're kind of saying if you vote Harris right now. And so RFK, being somebody, granted, he's crazy. But here's the thing, it's always going to be the fringe people that are going to leave first. It's always going to be the fringe people. So I think in this case, seeing kind of like the fringe cuckoos in the Democrat Party leaving is kind of instructive to see where things are going. That yes, there are Democrats out there that are unhappy with the way that the party is going and saying, no, we're not going to be a part of that party anymore. You got to change back. We're not going to be communists. Like, so, and it was RFK being in the race from the numbers that we have was something that was hurting Trump. It's not like a deciding factor per se, but it's not insignificant. So, especially in a contest that's as close as it was last time, RFK being in there was an important factor. So I think that you will see, that helps. That helps. And that's probably why, part of it is like, oh, okay, the Trump supporters like it. You're seeing a lot of stuff on the Trump side about it. Of course they would make a big deal about it, right? No big deal though, right? It's inconsequential. Nobody should care. Well, that's normally what I would think, except for that all of the Democrats are yapping about it. Like, the reactions that I'm seeing from Democrats is that they're unhappy about this. This is not helping them. So that's why I say, seems like it's had a bigger impact than I thought it would. Watch the Dems sue him, saying he has stayed in the race. Well, he is, right? So this is the weird thing about it, is that RFK is trying to push a third party. And if he gets something like 4% of the vote nationally, then they get like federal funding. And the third party diehards all think that that's like the holy grail. They think that if they get that 4%, that the next election after that would be like a full-on election, and it would be a three-way election. I don't think that it would turn out that way, but yeah, he is like pulling his name out in the swing states, but not in the Republican and Democrat states. Basically trying to say like, oh, hey, those of you that are in a state that you know that it's going to go for Trump or it's going to go for Harris, but you want to see a third party, you should vote for me so that we get to that 4%. That's what he's pushing. And I kind of think that Donald Trump is on board with that too. Honestly, the way like a multi-party thing doesn't work the way that people want it to. Okay, you can go and look at Europe. You got multiple parties. What does it actually result in? The right tends to fracture and the communists take over. Well, not the communists, but you get more socialist government is basically what ends up happening. Because the gluing force of, hey, they're going to give us money and stuff is more unifying than the multiple unifying forces that are all ideological on the right. And so if you saw a third party, you know, I don't think in the United States that many people would go with it, because you still kind of got like unifying drivers behind that are kind of driving people to do certain things. What would be more likely to happen is the two parties will continue to shift and turn more into what people want and become more representative of what people want as the older people in power die out, essentially. I think you're seeing that across the board. The only problem is that there is a pretty strong group of people that are basically, they want the handouts. You know, like Kamala Harris, like, look, these people aren't stupid. Kamala Harris was an economics major. She has to know what the history of price controls is. So why would she propose such a thing? Because she knows that the uneducated people just eat that stuff up. right? And you're going to have one party that's going to play to that and one party that's not. And there's your divide there. But I don't know. I'm still of the opinion Trump's going to win, but it's too early to call. Too early to call. You know, for me being as afraid of touching this as I've been, I feel like I've kind of been calling the key points pretty good. Like I said down there, well, I think that they're probably gonna, we've already seen the low and we're gonna move back up towards this 22, 24-ish area. Of course, if I had taken trades, I don't know if I would have taken trades on any of those. Those would have actually worked out. Makes me a little bit concerned for next week if the numbers that we get are significant next 2 weeks. Not this week, but the week and the week after that. Could be a lot of volatility. Like if we're getting this much volatility during a time when it really should be quiet and when we're really getting good reasons to move. Granted, the liquidity and the market overall should be a lot healthier then, so maybe those moves won't move us so much and it'll be a little bit safer to trade. I can only hope. Kind of looking around, seeing any hands. I am seeing a little bit more of a sell in oil here. Okay, there's another uptick at 25. So already this retracement, I guess you could call it, or bounce, I don't know, has gone a lot higher than I thought it would. So this is wild all over. Like these trades are hard because basically to have made money today, you would have wanted to be trading against the trend, and would you have actually caught the right spot? Like, that's hard. It's really hard. We can make money when we get these back and forths, assuming that we have some sort of an edge that tells us where it's going to come back and forth. The liquidity is helping us pretty good, but there was some other things going on here that really made the whole thing kind of shaky, doesn't it? Typically, we're going to make more money when it just trends in one direction all day. That's, I think, for the retail trader, like the best environment, the most conducive environment for you to making money. As long as you know that it's going the right way, that way, and you trade in that direction. Because a lot of retail traders who are technical traders, they see that and they always think it's gone too far and try and stand in front of it. I guess, though, if there's really a takeaway today, I have to apologize, by the way. I keep like tugging at my shirt because because I only have one arm. I'm not able to get my shirt to sit the way that I want it. If there's anything that we've learned today, it's that the market is being overly sensitive to headlines, particularly headlines about the Middle East, and that some of the most innocuous seeming things can move it quite a bit either way. So next time we see a headline like that, maybe it's worth taking a shot. Next time I see Iran try and talk everything down, maybe that's worth a short in the treasuries. Okay, not able to hold the 25, but still kind of showing some stickiness. We're going to get some numbers here at the bottom of the hour. This session has gone by awfully quick for me. 26. One of the problems about when you're reading it tick by tick is that like one tick makes a big difference, right? It was a little bit stuck there at 25, but they were able to break out of it at least briefly. Let's see if there's something to it or not. There is some, there's I would say, more dramatic cumulative delta changes across the 10-year than on the move down. I don't know. I think that there's still some reason to believe that things should kind of chill out around 25. There was somewhat of a flow to the long side, but since we've reached 25, it's subsided. So no way for me to say if it's going to continue or not. Okay, so here's the Dallas manufacturing news. I actually did see what seemed like maybe a little bit of an adjustment in the liquidity to that there was news, but it is higher than forecast, negative 9.7 versus an expected negative 16. And I need to drink more water. My lips are super chapped this morning. Well, I'm still seeing the volume in ZN looking pretty flat. Or let's say the delta in ZN pretty flat. So they've continued to trend up a little bit, but I'm still thinking that they're going to moderate and start bouncing back and forth between 27 and 25-ish. If they were to continue to trend up and bust the highs here, that would be something else. Like a bust of the highs would be pretty spectacular. But I think that it's unlikely. S&P 500 not happy here, man. Like at 56.40 it was kind of okay, but like since they've passed that line, now things seem to be like really falling apart and the treasuries are bidding back up. Like that last move in the last minute lower in the S&P 500 resulted in another 2 or 3 ticks up in the ZN. So something else is going on here, I think. What memo? There was no memo sent out. I'm not... I'm really quite curious what the S&P 500 is selling off on. Is it the general overall risk headlines? Could be. I mean, that'd have to be my only real guess that I've got at the moment, to be honest with you. Oil is looking a little bit different now. Honestly, though, that kind of change in oil just seems to coincide with the S&P 500 falling out, so... Took a short at 27. Well, that wasn't a terrible pick. I feel like that a short at 27 meets all of the technical qualifications for a trade here, at least. I don't really feel like that I have a piece of information that really strongly suggests that they're going to turn around here. But Read the rest. What? That means that the market will go higher? Yeah. I mean, I understand you're joking, but I still liked it from a technical perspective. Like, the volume has kind of been going sideways in ZN. The other markets are moderating. Kind of suggests that you might see, at the very least, a rotation around 27, if not a little bit of a drop. You got one tick, so it's not terrible, right? We don't have something to predict the future volume, and I'm not seeing, like, volume short. So I'm not going to take a trade, but it still is, like, it's not a terrible pick. I don't know. If you don't want my opinion on it, why would you tell me about it? I guess a lot of it is more for accountability for yourself, right? I think that this should be a collaboration, right? We should be giving feedback on, you know, what kind of a trade is appropriate here and not, and why. Only thing I know is we are above Friday's pit close. Are we really? Let me see. Let me double check. I guess the close. Because the close was like at what, 23? 23 certainly looks like a more sensible place to balance out than 27 does on the larger volume profile. You know, because there has been some closes and significant volume around there in the past. Like, the thing on the upside is number one, usually that first big opening move is pretty big and is hard to overcome. Like, you really need like a huge imbalance on the day for that to continue into an uptrend and continue pushing, right? So in this situation, it's very unlikely that we bust that high. But if we do bust that high, then you've got that 114 balance area, and then you've basically got like, should we call it a monthly high? It's not quite a monthly high because we're still in August, but you know, a high from several weeks back, right? So if they were to continue pushing through there, that would be like a really significant move. But at the moment, it seems to me not very likely. So then it's like, well, so then it should moderate and maybe go back and do a VWAP bounce again at 24.5, right? Well, it could. But at that point, what we're admitting is that the market is like the big moves, the big informed trading moves are over, and we're just kind of like liquidity sloshing around. So I think in a situation like that, the short at 27 makes the most sense. But I really don't like trading in that. I don't make money off of those plays, you know? At least net, I don't make money off of those trades. Well, I'm honestly, I got a thing or two to do here. Mostly use the bathroom, but it's like, it's close enough to the end of the stream that I think I'm just going to call it here. So I think we're just going to call it here. Today was a wild day. That was a pretty good downtick that you just had there. 26.5, 2,000 contracts sold. Good offer. Some hitting into 26 now. That looks good. That's good enough for me. All right, guys. I'm going to get going. I will see you tomorrow. In the meantime, stay excellent.